North Carolina is in critical need of volunteer firefighters. That's the message from the North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs. News 13's Hannah McKenzie is live in Swannanoa, where the fire station has experienced a decline. Hannah.
Ty, in its heyday, the Swannanoa Fire Department had 35 volunteer firefighters in addition to their regular full-time paid staff. Today, I'm told they have just one volunteer firefighter, but the chief here hopes to change that.
You can see it in our heroes, our men and women of the fire service.
Volunteer firefighter numbers are plummeting. According to FEMA, 72% of North Carolina firefighters are volunteers, but that number decreasing by 11 or 12% annually. The North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs making an urgent plea.
But more than anything, it's about time you found your inner hero.
It's part of a 2-year recruitment campaign.
Being part of the volunteer fire service is making Carolina stronger in every sense of the word.
Here at the Swannanoa Fire Department, calls for service are up.
Well, we respond to about 135 to 140 on average a month.
Yet staffing is low. To bridge the gap, Chief Anthony Penland says teamwork is pivotal.
So when we have a structure fire, we have 7 people from Swannanoa that may be responding, and some of our off-duty folks will be there. But then we have departments from Black Mountain, Riceville, Reynolds that are bringing personnel as well.
Chief Penland started as a volunteer firefighter. The 30-year veteran now hoping to inspire a new generation, launching Buncombe County's first fire academy, teaching firefighting certification courses to students at Owen High School.
Upon graduation, they'll have 3 classes that they need to finish: fire control, rescue, hazmat, and they have to take the traffic incident management class. And once they finish those classes, they are certified firefighters in the state of North Carolina and can walk into any volunteer fire station and put in an application and start volunteering.
A possible pipeline to fill future vacancies, Chief Penland hopes to expand the program next year. Chief Penland tells me typically he has around 7 staff members here at the Swannanoa Fire Department. In order to operate without assistance from neighboring stations, he says he would have to have double that number.
Asheville's chief of police says the department is seeing a turnaround in hiring after a mass exodus of officers.
At one point this year, the department was down almost 90 positions and announced it would stop responding to some low-level crimes. News 13's Kimberly King has the latest numbers and if APD is now able to respond to more calls.
The chief told me that policy has to remain in place because the department right now is still not yet fully staffed. But with national exposure to the vacancy crisis combined with a new starting salary slightly higher at $45,000, APD is now getting hits.
We're definitely excited about the interest. We seem to be making progress.
Last summer, calls to defund Asheville Police had cops leaving in droves. The crisis led to a New York Times article citing APD as one of the hardest hit departments in the nation in the wake of George Floyd protests.
While it shined a spotlight on the negative, it also shined a spotlight on opportunity. And we are seeing quite a few applicants from out of state, from as far away as California.
Chief Zach at the time was also interviewed by Fox News. The national exposure brought interest in department vacancies.
Crisis negotiation teams, bomb techs, canine officers. These opportunities oftentimes don't come up for many years in your career.
4 new officers hit the streets in December. 10 are now in training. 18 candidates are being reviewed for a January police academy.
I came from a small department with 50 officers, Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
38-year-old Mark Bengals in training, hoping to eventually make detective. As a college student, he remembers the tragedy of 9/11 and is pledged to a career.
I dedicated myself to law enforcement because I wanted to keep people safe.
Bengal, the kind of candidate Chief Zach hopes to continue to recruit. Chief Zach tells me that inevitably there will be some candidates who will drop out, and also there could be the potential that officers in training will drop out. But he says the department he feels is definitely turning a corner in the right direction.
And tonight, Asheville City Council created the framework for distributing more than $26 million in American Rescue Plan funds and also approved a major contract involving the city's reparations process. News 13's Andrew James is live in downtown Asheville with more on these developments. Andrew.
Yeah, so far the city of Asheville has allocated $7.3 million of that funding, and tonight council voted on how to spend the rest of that funding with different categories. Now here's a look at the categories they decided on: affordable housing, care for aging residents, city infrastructure, community communication, domestic violence prevention and assistance. The funding can also be used for food systems, homelessness services, revenue losses, small business recovery, and workforce development. The city will now take requests of how that money can be used fitting into those designated categories. Councilwoman Kim Roney requested that one additional category be added to that list.
I'm appealing to my colleagues to consider our own climate justice initiative by adding climate change to the categories as part of our council goals for both an equitable recovery from the pandemic and reimagining public safety, which we identified in our retreat.
Now, council also voted tonight to allocate close to $1.3 million to emergency non-congregate homeless shelters at a local hotel. This has been an ongoing initiative that will be continued at least through the end of the year. Council is also setting aside $750,000 for administrative costs related to distributing this funding. A city spokesperson tells me that is for staffing and other costs that are associated with it. Now, council also took a big step forward in the reparations process tonight, approving the contract for a project manager. Council approved the $365,000 contract with Tequity. The city's interim equity and inclusion director, Brenda Mills, tells me the company will help oversee and manage the reparations process.
Having this person on board whose total job is to work with helping us with a process for choosing the commission, helping us choose those commissioners, reporting, helping us to keep up with those meetings and the short, long, medium, and long-term goals.
So that contract will last through spring of 2023. The money is coming out of the $2.1 million the city council already dedicated for reparations. Now, Mills tells me they hope to have the reparations commission up and running by November. That commission will be made up of 20 to 25 members.